We're going to talk about you, how you got to the United States, how you became a gun guy. Were you a gun guy before you left Germany, or did it take off when you came here?
Okay.
And
I know the answer to all of those.
Perfect. You are an expert in you.
Before we start today's show, please visit the sponsors, affiliates, and friends of the Stagecoach. The Square Reviews, brutally honest product and travel reviews for red-blooded Americans by red-blooded Americans. Visit them at thesquarereviews.com. TheGunFood.com has an extensive network of partners to connect you with your guns, ammunition, and firearm training. The Gun Food only sells ammo that they trust. Use RSWC as a discount code and save 5.56% on your order at thegunfood.com. PowerTac flashlights have combined premium craftsmanship, American ingenuity, and cutting-edge technology, creating a highly dependable tool that you can trust your life with. Go to powertac.com/RSWC and save 15% on your order. That's powertac.com/RSWC. Sabre Pepper Spray has been making grown men cry since 1975. Find the link in the show description and help get the Stagecoach across America with every Sabre Red purchase you make.
Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the Stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie.
All right, before we start this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie, I want to thank you guys all for tuning into the show. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. Hit the notification bell, because that is good for all things YouTube. If you're listening to the show as a podcast, please leave some positive comments for that. Obviously, you can leave comments on the YouTube as well. But if you are watching the show and you enjoy it and you get something out of it, please share it with your friends, because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today we are in San Diego, California, and I have with me Matthias Quellenberg from the, I just lost it, San Diego Shooting School?
Firearms School.
San Diego Firearms School. Matthias is also known as the German, because he's from Germany. Yeah, very high-tech stuff. Good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, we met a couple years ago, a year and a half ago at Gun Prom.
That was almost 3 years ago. This year would have been the third Gun Prom since we met.
No, the third Gun Prom, but it was in 22. It was July of 22?
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right.
June of 22 or July of 22?
I
can't remember. But, yeah, we met there. We were, Michael Schwartz put us at...
Make a U-turn.
Michael Schwartz... Whoa! These brakes are really good, man. Michael Schwartz from San Diego County Gun Owners put us at the table, at the table of, take a left. He put us at a table of misfit toys. It was you and me and John Petrolino and Ursula Williams. And I remember giving you the biz card and hanging out and talking, and I may have been over self-served. So I don't remember much, but I do remember getting a message from you the next day, and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally have seen your show. I didn't put the two together that night. I'm like, yeah, that's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Petrolino started messaging you, and he writes to me, and he's like, dude, I'm talking to Matthias. I'm like, who?
Gee, thanks.
I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, remember the German guy? I'm like, oh, the German.
Yeah.
And that is stuck.
That was me.
Yeah, so last year you came to AmCon last year and Gun Rights Policy Conference.
Yeah.
And you came again this year, and we're right here in your hometown, which is awesome. And and we're introducing you as the German.
Yeah,
and of course,
I remember
she was the German.
I remember John was on somebody else's radio show or podcast or whatever, and he name dropped me there for some sort of a reference. He was talking to me about something.
Yeah.
I forget what it was about, but I remember he sent me the clip, and I was like, "Oh my God, people are talking to me about me on the radio."
Nice. All right, what are we doing here?
We're taking the 8 East.
8 East, okay.
And you get on the 805 South.
And 805 South. All right, so we're heading towards downtown?
We're heading towards the border.
Heading towards the border.
Make sure you don't miss the last exit, because then we have a problem.
We're going to have a real problem. I do not have a not only do I not have a passport with me, I don't have a passport.
Well, I'm doing something worse. I'm strapped. You can't,
oh, great!
You can't do that in Mexico.
We're never coming back. We are never coming back. We're going to the border, and that's it. Yeah, I did a show with Desi. Oh, Desi. What's Desi's last name? Bergman? Desi Bergman, and she's like, okay, they told me to make sure you don't kidnap me and you don't take me to Mexico. I'm like, I don't know how to get to Mexico from here.
That's easy. Just keep going straight.
Just keep going straight. All right, let's go to the border. Let's do it. All right, so tell us about yourself. How did you get here from Germany? How did you become a gun guy? Were you into firearms before you got to the United States? After you became a citizen?
I could have been. I would have been if it had been an option in Germany. We don't have gun rights. We don't, guns is not a thing in Germany. Ownership is possible. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very elitist. But you can forget about carry. Even that's out of the question.
Wow.
I was in the Army 20 years ago by now, because we had a draft. I got, conscription. I had to go. There could have been ways for me to,
80s.
weasel out. But I said, no, you know what? I want to do that. Let's see what it's all about. I did my own boot camp. The first gun I ever shot was in boot camp. It was a Walther P1. Walther P1, the successor of the P38.
It's 37 before?
1938 is what that stands for, I think.
Gotcha.
The crazy thing is, it is still the same gun. The 38 was made out of steel. The one is made out of an aluminum alloy. But otherwise, it's the same gun, and we still had it at the time in the German army. Really? I don't know what we use now, but that's the first gun I ever shot. I did my own boot camp. I did a little bit of specialized training. Did some office work for a while at the Ministry of Defense. And then, basically, the German version of the Pentagon. And then I became a boot camp instructor myself.
Oh, wow.
That was great. That was a lot more. I was the first one up and the last one in bed, but it was much more fun than being the recruit. And then my service was over.
Yeah.
Just expired. My time was up. And I never gave it another thought, because in Germany you can't. It's not a thing. Fast forward a few years, I met this American girl. We ended up liking each other. So I said, you know what? I was in school at the time. And I said, you know what? You have some time off during Thanksgiving. I can take time off. Let me come visit. So I flew over to Boston, where she lived at the time. Mm-hmm. And we said, you know what? If I go back and you stay here, then what's going to happen with us here?
Right.
And we said, you know what? We'll give it a try. We'll do a long distance relationship. And once I was done with school, I came to America.
Wow.
Yeah, we lived in Boston for 5 years. We got married in 2010.
Really?
So I came over in 2009. We got married in 2010. 15
north?
South, actually. We missed the exit because I was too busy talking. But we can just make a U-turn. It's fine.
Okay.
15 north take the north, and then we'll just U-turn.
You're freaking me out, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We could have taken another exit. Whatever.
Dude, I have no idea where we're at.
I know. I forget.
It's not that I'm lost. I just don't know where we're at.
I know. It's my responsibility. I'm just chatting away here, not paying attention.
That's okay.
So you just get off the next one and then get back on the 15 South.
15 South. Okay.
So I was in Boston. We got married, which means I got a green card.
Nice.
In 2012, I think that was a consequence of McDonald, probably. We green card holders were suddenly allowed to have CCWs or LTCs or whatever you call it in your state.
LTCs.
You want to take the west ramp.
West. All right. This is what's going to cause an accident, by the way. You're not giving me directions, me having no idea where we're going. I'm looking for a board.
I know. I never drive with people who don't know this area.
Right.
So, pardon me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was a consequence of McDonald, or maybe Heller, one of the two. That in 2012 there was a law change. Green card holders could get licenses to carry.
Right.
So within a week of me getting a green card, I got my first gun and I applied for a license to carry.
That's great.
And my first gun was a Taurus PT908, 9mm. They don't make them anymore. They went out of production in 2007 and in '97. But it's a neat gun. And
15 South?
Yeah. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to allow myself one a year.
Okay.
I'm a little bit behind on that, but you know, I've almost stayed true to that commitment.
So one of the things for me, and I've said this a million times, is shooting is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
So I did the whole break even. Like, I was married and we were maxed out for money and I was interested in guns and wanted to buy more but didn't have any wiggle room in the budget. So I was like, you know, if I become a gun instructor, I can use that money to buy myself some guns and ammo.
And you can write it off.
I did not know this, but yes, I can write it off. I've realized that since then. So it's, becoming an instructor, there's certain benefits to it.
Yeah. And
it's an expensive hobby for sure. So one a year, there's nothing wrong with one a year, man. You know?
Yeah. 1 year I actually bought 2.
Nice.
But I'm still a little behind. Now in California we have that 11% tax that we need to work on to get rid of.
Right.
But
that's on top of the Pittman-Robertson, right? Like on the regular taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So fast forward a few years, we had moved to California in 2014, 15 maybe. And I had to give up my license to carry because they don't have reciprocity.
Shock.
And I lived in San Francisco. When I was there, I looked this up for the latest year that was the data was available. Mm-hmm. San Francisco had issued 2 permits. 2 permits in the same time frame. Fresno County had issued 6,000.
Oh my gosh!
You know. Then we moved to San Diego. That's where my wife is from. We had a young child, so she wanted to be closer to her parents. I said, sure, let's go. And over here, I looked at the same data again, and I wanted to get a license to carry. But in 2012, that was still not 2012. When was this? 15, 16, around there. Mm-hmm. Still very difficult. And I found out that in the state you have a license to carry, but you have to list the make, model, and serial number on your license. And at the time, you could only have 3 guns listed on your license.
Really? It's not for possessing, it's just to carry?
Just to carry, yeah.
Okay.
Which means you can't get a license to carry if you don't own a gun. Mm. And I thought that was extremely stupid. I mean, I did have guns at the time, but I also didn't like the 3 gun limit.
Right.
So I thought about calling an attorney and getting a consultation. I don't like this. This doesn't feel natural, basically.
Yeah.
And I Googled somebody, I called up this random company, and it turns out it was the guys that were working on the Peruta case. Peruta versus San Diego.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, you know what? We have this interesting case. This might actually fit in with what we're trying to do here. Let me talk to the attorneys, the lady said, and find out if we can be a co-plaintiff in that case. So I almost became a plaintiff in the Peruta case, but then the attorney said, it doesn't really fit into our strategy.
We can't pronounce Quellenberg, so that's how.
It doesn't fit in the strategy, but when this case is done, call us back. And of course, Peruta lost at the time. But I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, 805 south.
805 south. You stay on this now till you hit the 805. That's off to the right, and then stay on the 805.
Okay. 94 east.
Yeah, you want to be in the right lane.
Okay.
I would have forgotten again to give you directions. But you got this. You do this all the time. You know what to do.
Not to the border.
You know how to manage your guests.
Very much like Kamala Harris. I have not been to the border.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You know how Sarah Palin says she can see the border? She can see Russia from her house? Right. I can actually see it from my house.
Yikes. You can actually see Mexico.
Especially at night. Yeah, you can see it really well at night.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Yes, the Peruta case. The Peruta didn't work out. No,
that didn't work out. It would have been cool to have my name attached to something like that. I would have seen the Supreme Court one day. Forward to COVID, George Floyd. At the time, I was Ubering. I know you know how that works. Yes. I was an Uber driver. Still do that to this day. And we had some pretty nasty things going on here in San Diego and in La Mesa. A lot of businesses burnt down. There was a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't as bad as in some cities, but some businesses really went up in flames here.
Wow.
And during that time, I had a lot of riders in the car whenever it came up in conversation, and they found out I was a gun owner. So many people asked me questions.
Yeah.
And were looking for help and guidance and wanted to get my opinion on things. And I was like, damn, there's so many people here that need help. Maybe there's a market for this. Let me see what I can do and become an instructor and do this professionally. So I got my NRA certs. The first one, the RSO and the basic pistol. I've gotten a few more since then, but I started San Diego Firearms School in 21, I want to say, 3 years ago. And teach a couple of classes a month. It's not, I don't do it full time. I kind of want to make that a full-time thing.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I can do firearm safety certificates now, which is the piece of paper you need to purchase a gun in California.
Okay.
And very soon, hopefully, within the next month, I'll be certified as a CCW instructor by the Sheriff's Department.
Very
so I can really help people out. And that is my journey into becoming a firearms instructor. But really, where I got into the firearms community is when I accidentally won the tickets to that gun prom where we met.
Wow. Funny how it all works out.
Yeah, I had heard about San Diego County gun owners before, but never met anybody, never been anywhere with these guys. And then purely by accident, I click on some link on some commercial online, and I subscribe to the email list and win the tickets to gun prom. And you've been part of the rest of the story.
Well, it seems too easy, right?
Yeah.
What does somebody have to do to get a concealed carry license? Because I think talking with Desi, she said you have to. There's like an online class you need to take to get a safety card so you can purchase things.
That's a firearm safety card.
Okay.
Or certificate, the FSC. So you need that before you can buy a gun.
Okay.
Kind of like an FID.
Right.
In your state. And once you have you could apply for the CCW before you have your gun, but you cannot take the 16-hour training course that's required because you need to pass a shooting qualification with your gun.
We're going through this in Massachusetts with this new bill. I think it's called Chapter 135. The law is Chapter 135. The bill was H4885, which before that it had 4 different numbers. It's been going on for a year and a half in Massachusetts. And one of the things that I got worked up about recently is they wanted to add they wanted to add live fire as part of the training. And you would think that it would be easy for an anti-gun state to take a look at the NRA's basic pistol class,
right,
and say 8 hours. There's a 50-question test. It's not a qualification, but you do have to do some shooting. You have to shoot at whatever the 10-inch circles or paper plates, whatever they call it. You have to do that sort of stuff, and maybe that should be sufficient. But in Massachusetts, I started thinking about this. If they have a qualification, like let's say they wanted you to shoot the FBI qualification, then you have to practice that, because sometimes you do it from the holster. You've got to shoot at different distances. You shoot kneeling and standing and seated and whatnot. You have to be able to practice this, but you can't practice it unless you have a gun. And in Massachusetts, you can't buy a gun unless you're taking a class.
Right.
So
Catch-22, huh?
Totally. So here you can buy a gun, but you just can't. You do the 30-question test.
Yeah, it's 100 questions. They'll ask you 30.
Questions. Okay.
You can actually get 7 wrong and pass it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Then after you do that, you can buy a gun, and then you can practice with your gun. You can buy ammunition. Now you can't. If you go to a gun range, you can buy ammunition and use it there, but you can't bring it home unless you pass a background check, right?
Correct. You need to do a background check for ammo purchases, which means you cannot purchase ammo online anymore and have it shipped to the house.
So,
you can purchase it online, but then you have to ship it to a dealer, and then you go to the dealer, pay them a fee to do the background check. So you might as well just get it there.
Yeah, it's cut out the middleman.
Unless you go and get your FFL, which is relatively easy, actually. Anybody can go get an FFL.
Right.
If you get the Curio and Relics, that's a very low standard. Anybody can pay the fee, get the FFL, and then, it makes sense if you use a lot of ammo. If you shoot, 50 rounds a year, it's maybe not cost effective.
Yeah, not at all.
But anybody can do that. So the steps are: get your FSC, Firearm Safety Certificate. Either get your gun and then apply, or apply and then get the gun. But once you are approved for your CCW, you have to take a training class, 16 hours for the initial, 8 for the renewal, and you have to show up to that class with your gun, because the instructor has to write down the make, model, and serial number.
That seems.
But the shooting qualification is surprisingly easy. Yeah. I think it's 3, 5, and 7 yards, or something like that.
Okay.
Single-handed, both hands, standard. It's not difficult at all. It's not timed either. No drawing from the holster. There's no loading. There's no reloads. None of that. It's just shooting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got some friends that are encouraging me to get my Rhode Island permit, and the qualification in Rhode Island is you have some huge target that you shoot at 75 feet.
75 feet?
75 feet, which of course is way longer than self-distance shooting would.
I don't think I've ever shot a handgun at 75 feet.
75 feet, yep. And then you have to shoot the largest caliber you want to carry.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so if you shoot a 9, you can't carry a 40 or a 45. If you shoot a 22, you can't carry a 38 or a 9. And if you use a 45, like I did the qualification a couple years ago just to practice doing it, you have to get 195 out of 300, and I did it with a full-size 1911 and 45. Yeah. All right, 805 South.
We stay on this now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so back to the qualifications. Not that difficult.
No, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Is there a certain score? Is it like a certain target?
It is a certain target. Don't ask me for the name, the number of it. I'd have to look that up.
Right.
But you just have to hit the target.
Gotcha.
I think it's that bottle-shaped target, or whatever the name of that target is.
Right.
My own renewal actually is due in December, and I wonder if I don't know. I've never asked anybody this question. If I'm a CCW instructor, can I issue my own renewal?
Probably not, because that would be.
I don't know. Would conflict of interest? I don't know.
Possibly conflict of interest. That might be it.
I mean,
so
yeah.
16 hours of class time. In Illinois, it's 16 hours of class. In New York State, it's 19 hours
Jesus.
to get a carry permit. What do you cover for 16 hours?
I mean, people don't smoke anymore, so you can't put cigarette breaks in. but just talk slowly. I mean, there's certain things that I wish I could go more into depth in the 8-hour NRA basic pistol course. Mm-hmm. There are some things that you can cover relatively quickly. But for example, we have to incorporate at least an hour of mental health resources.
An hour?
An hour's worth, at least 1 hour
Wow.
of mental health resources, which is kind of crazy because I'm not a mental health expert. I have no training in that. I have absolutely no expertise, no professional experience, and they don't give us any guidelines on what needs to be in that hour. So I'm going to probably find an expert who has videos up there that I'm, hyperlink in there, and play those, and then do a group discussion.
I was talking with a friend of mine, it was an instructor in Massachusetts. He wanted to see, because suicide prevention is something that's going to be added to this new curriculum, and the new curriculum they recently pushed out, it was supposed to end October 23rd, 2024, but they're pushing it out another 18 months. He was going to try to find something that the state has done on suicide prevention and use that and just play the video. And I guess I don't have a problem with playing the video with something like that, but an hour-long video, holy moly, man.
Yeah. See that hill back there?
Yeah.
The last one, that's Mexico.
Wow.
So I met...
Okay, so hold on. You're going to have to start paying attention here so we don't cross the border.
As long as you get off the last exit, it'll be a big sign.
Does it say the last exit
USA exit?
Mexico? Okay.
And you'll see a sign on the right side that says, guns and ammo illegal in Mexico.
We should get our picture in front of that if we can.
Yeah. I forget his name now. The guy from, help me out, Walk the Talk America.
Mike Sedini or Jake Waskersian?
I think it was Jake. He was at the last gun show here in Escondido.
Yeah.
And he gave me some good advice. He has this link to their site where they have like short 15-minute videos. If you play 4 of those, you pick 4, scatter them throughout your course so it's not all bunched up and boring for people.
Yeah.
Then that's a good option to do. And then at the end you have a group discussion.
There we go.
I'm sure I'll fill the 16 hours.
Sure. It's so my attitude is this. I teach the bread and butter of my instructing biz is the NRA Home Firearm Safety course, and I do the Utah class because people like to get the Utah permit because they want to travel. It has more reciprocity than the Massachusetts LTC. So those are the bread and butter of what I do. A lot of the gun safety and loading and unloading.
There's that sign. Guns illegal in Mexico.
Oh yeah. Where's the one that says exit before you leave the country? Gun safety is gun safety. I use the same slides. Some of the presentations are obviously different, but some of the presentations the same.
Yeah. The material you cover is the same.
Right. Like gun safety is gun safety. Here's how you load a gun. Here's how you unload it. Here's the NRA's rules. Here's Jeff Cooper's rules. Like,
get over in the right lane.
All right. How come guns are illegal in Mexico? Doesn't the cartel have guns? Tijuana is 3 miles away. International border's 2 miles. Oh my gosh. That's Mexico. My goodness. I've never been this far south before.
No?
I'm freaking out.
Well, there it says, end freeway, 1.5 miles. Weapons, ammo illegal in Mexico.
Jeez, that's crazy. All right, so what is it you spend time people teaching? When people take classes with you?
Take this exit right here.
All right.
There's one more. It doesn't really matter which one we take. What do I teach?
Yeah, like when you do teach classes, you said you do what? 2 classes a month?
It depends. Sometimes
take a right?
Take a left.
Okay.
Sometimes more, sometimes less. I've had a month that was kind of slow where I didn't have a class at all because you have your people signing up. Most people sign up kind of late. And then you want to call everybody a day or 2 before just to get an accurate head count, and then a lot of people drop out or don't respond anymore, and then are they going to show up or not? You know.
I'll tell you what I've done, and this was hard for me to do.
Take deposits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't like it either, but
I've gotten so my deal is this: I charge $1.25 for a 4-hour class. I used to have people make a $50 deposit,
Mm-hmm.
and I would still have people not show up. Sorry, $25 deposit, and I would still have people not show up. Then I upped it to $50, and then I say you need to pay before class. Some people pay it all with Venmo or PayPal. They'll pay it all at once. They'll pay the $50, and then they pay the $75 when they do the class. Some people bring in cash, and yeah. So I'm gonna say that might be the way to go.
Yeah, I've started doing deposits too.
Yeah, you
but
really
hey,
do, because-
pay attention here really quick. We haven't crossed the border yet, right?
We have not.
Everything is already in Spanish. Did you notice? A lot of the signs are in Spanish if you look at.
Okay.
You know?
Little Caesars.
Well, Little Caesars is same in German. But yeah, down here in San Isidro, the default greeting if you walk into any business is in Spanish.
Oh my goodness.
You get good food down here, though.
We're gonna stay straight.
Stay straight.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I would do as an instructor. I would.
Yeah.
I would take the deposit.
So I looked at the. See here, the border.
Yikes.
I looked at the some other instructors that are listed on the NRA website.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody takes deposits, and I felt awkward being the only one. And I was wondering if that might be off-putting to some potential students, but it turns out it isn't, because people find you either because they look at your reviews,
Yep.
or you're in a convenient location.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they people don't travel 20 miles extra just to get the class that doesn't have the deposit. You know.
Right. The attitude that I've adopted, and this is what my friends were telling me, is they're like, you need to make a deposit so people take it serious.
Yeah.
And if you tell them it's a $50 non-refundable deposit,
Turn right at the light. Yeah.
if it's a $50 non-refundable deposit, then they'll make the class. But I also, if somebody can't make it, right? Like 2 days before is when 2 days before the class is when I send an email to remind them about the class.
If they want to reschedule to next month, will you honor it?
Of course.
Yeah, me too.
Of course, I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but you have to let me know. Let me know ahead of time.
Yeah, don't be a no-show.
Right. So, Mexico, right lane only. We shall stay in the left lane.
Yeah, do that. This is the busiest border crossing here. If you look to the right, to the left, you'll see it. The busiest border crossing in the Northern Hemisphere.
Really?
There's 150,000 people that cross here every day in both directions.
150,000?
Yeah.
God, dude, that's crazy.
And we'll be able to see the border wall right there. It's behind the outlets. The parking lot in the outlets actually goes up to the wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this. I got a Panda Express right over there. I didn't know that the Mexicans like Chinese food.
I mean, we're here too.
Well, this is true. This is true.
Anybody likes Chinese food.
Right.
Although, is Panda Express really Chinese food?
Probably not.
Is Little Caesars Italian? You know?
No. I'm going to go with, that's a big fat no.
Yeah. I do get, you know what I do get? I get a lot of beginners, a lot of new gun owners.
Yeah.
Just today I got an email about somebody who's not even ready to take the class, but they asked me about a consultation, what type of gun to get.
Very cool.
You know?
Very cool. What do you do when someone asks what kind of gun to get? What do you?
I ask more questions. I can't just,
Right.
you know, what's your first
the gun
initial?
for? Right. How much do you want to spend? What are you looking at?
Right. What's your first
gun?
initial? Okay, this is what you need.
Yeah, because it's tough. I mean, people, particularly new gun owners, don't realize that you want different guns for different things.
Mm-hmm.
And, I encourage people to buy something a little bit bigger. If they're new gun owners, maybe a smaller caliber if they can. And this is where you go through the whole gun ownership is expensive.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to start with a 22. I like to talk to me.
Do you want to touch the border?
I do. So I should have turned there?
Then we can go into this parking lot anywhere on the left.
All right. I tell people they should, maybe buy a 22. I like revolvers because they're a little bit easier to operate.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff, right?
One thing that I like to tell people is once you have your first gun, or even before you select your first gun, go to the range, rent a few different guns.
Oh, sure.
Find out what's ergonomically okay for you.
Yeah, what fits in your hand.
And after you've narrowed it down and you've shot a few, guns in principle all work the same way. Right? There's some minor variations with features and whatnot. You can see it straight ahead.
Wow.
That's the wall.
Are we going straight?
Yeah, go there. Guns are a little bit like driving cars, right? You drive your first car at some point, and then you learn 2-3 other cars, and you're going to go straight, yeah. Okay. Once you've driven 3 or 4 cars, you can get in any car you've never driven, and you know how it works.
Right.
The same is true with guns. You can eventually, you've had enough experience, you can pick up a gun you've never seen before, and you can figure it out.
That's cool. Yeah, that totally, that's a great analogy. You know, sometimes the blinker's on the left side, sometimes it's on the right side, sometimes you turn the washer here, sometimes you turn the washer over here.
Well, that's true if you're in an English or in an American car.
Right. Yeah.
What? Oh, these guys saw the camera. They thought we were something important here.
We are something important here.
Yeah. I was wondering, why are they looking at us? And then I realized there's the cameras.
Yeah, I did an interview with a guy one time in Massachusetts, and somebody was looking at us and like, hey, we're on TV. Don't tell people, man.
Yeah.
There is the border.
So the small little one here, that's the helipads I told you about from Vietnam. They came in first under Clinton. Clinton built this first wall, I think.
That's right.
And then the bigger wall came later. So now they have
So this one.
This one here, this right
railing,
here, yeah.
This metal railing.
And you know what's funny?
It's not really that tall.
I don't think people realize this. The actual wall is not on the border. It's on the American side of the border. Right? Because when you first built it, you have to be able to stand on either side of it for the construction.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit on our side, which means by the time people get to the wall, they're technically already in America.
All right, let's stop and get a picture.
Yeah, sure.
This is as close as we can get, right?
There's a couple of spots where you can get closer, but it's much harder to get to.
That means we're close. All right, we're going to hit the border. We're going to head for the border, and we'll be back. All right, so we just visited the border wall. I better stop here. I don't want to get arrested. I've never been this far south. This is only my second time to San Diego. And the first time I did not come, that says a right turn only.
Yeah, well.
Is that going to bring us?
It will. I've
bring
been
us
here.
To the border?
Yeah, no, I've been here. Go this way.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the border wall. You can see it on the hood cam, hopefully. Hopefully get some video there. That is Mexico over there, people. Yeah, I've never been this far south. Never been to Mexico.
You can actually
don't eat tacos too often.
You can actually right on the other side over there in TJ or Tijuana, we call it. The insiders call it TJ.
The local border patrol agents right there.
You can
just giving us the eye.
They have a domestic airport right on the other side there that you can actually get to from San Diego. They have an entrance on our side of the border, and you can just walk through the airport with your ticket, your passport. They have basically, you can't use it as an entry into Mexico.
Right.
Turn right. But if you have a domestic flight from that airport, you can get in from our side.
Wow. That's pretty wild. All right, there's the Mexico only side.
Do not turn left.
Turning left.
No, don't do that.
Yikes.
But you want to be in the right lane.
All right. So we were talking about your business as an instructor.
Yep.
And I say, charge people the deposit.
I do.
And I think that makes some more of a commitment to come.
Yeah.
One of the places I teach, like, you're not in the class, air quotes in the class, until you paid in full. And their deal is if you pay in full and don't show up, there is a 0% refund.
Right.
And
well, yeah, because we have to rent the space and pay the fee for the range and order the materials.
Right.
And, you get a whole course book and
Here's something I've done. I call it the Mary Kay approach, which I know is kind of dated and whatever, but I offer people, if people take a class with me and they get a half a dozen people, usually I'll say, listen, you get a half a dozen other people, they pay the full price, we do the class at your house, and you get it for free.
Yep, I do that. I do something similar. I give everybody a $25 referral bonus.
Nice.
Left.
We're getting on a 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody gets a $25 referral discount for everybody that they bring in paying full price.
Nice.
Up to the cost of the class. So if they bring me 20 people, they don't earn money.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great way to do it too. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I do group classes. If you sign up on the website and you stay in the red lane and you show up to that public group class, that's one way. But I also offer private classes. For example, I've had a family of 4 that wanted to take a class together. I said, look, I will do so the class is split up into 2 portions, right? 4 hours in the classroom, 4 hours on the range. We'll do the theory, the classroom portion at your residence or your place of business.
Yeah.
And then we'll relocate to the range.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, so I teach so far I teach the NRA curriculum on the basics of pistol shooting.
Nice.
I do firearm safety classes. I do personal protection inside the home and personal protection outside of the home.
Oh, cool.
I do consultations for first-time buyers. I do consultations for CCW applications. So working with Gun Owners Radio, pretty soon we'll start a course where we charge a very small fee, maybe $25 or something like that, to walk people through the application process. So we sit down with them.
Nice.
We tell everybody these are the documents you need.
Yeah.
Bring bring everything you need. We'll list what they have to bring. Show up to the class, and we will sit down together. Stay on the 805.
805. Okay.
We will sit down together and apply for your CCW then and there. Everybody together.
That's cool.
I don't just tell people how to do it. We're actually going to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of people, I've had some people bring in the application and say, look, what do I need to do?
Yeah. Oh, funny thing, just the regular gun safety class is, the minimum requirement is an hour. I usually give it an hour and a half. Just people have questions all the time.
Absolutely.
And every time anybody signs up for that class, I ask them, is this court ordered? 9 out of 10 times, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's court ordered.
They had some sort of charge?
Yeah. It's usually, most of the time if somebody gets pulled over and they have a gun they're not supposed to have, and they said something. Interesting. I had one case where, I don't know if there's a word for this, when you get mad and you get really upset on somebody else's behalf. So this guy hit me up and said, hey, I need a firearm safety class. I said, it's a court ordered? Yep. Okay, what happened? Well, I had a gun on me and I didn't have a CCW. Okay, so what are the circumstances? Just had nothing to do with the class, but I like to ask. I'm curious. Imagine a stereotypical Mexican biker. Tatted up, vest, really brown skin, like brown.
Yeah.
With his motorbike and the vest and all that sort of stuff. He was driving around, saw the cops, and he said to himself, you know what? Let me pull over and wait till the air is clear, because, he gets...
Sure.
I don't want to say, let's say he gets harassed.
Okay.
These 2 cops grabbed him, no probable cause.
Yeah.
And detained him, wanted to see his papers, his IDs, and all that sort of stuff, because he looked like a gang member, like a a biker with patches on the vest and all that sort of stuff. And I only know his side of the story, right? And he was saying he got a new gun, and he wanted to feel it, how it weighs, how it feels when he carries it, and put it in his vest, and he forgot he had it on him. But he wasn't riding the bike, so no traffic stop. Right. He wasn't doing anything. He was sitting on a bench waiting for the cops to disappear.
Wow.
So they had no probable cause, and sure, he made a mistake. He was carrying without a license.
Right.
But they should have never stopped him in the first place. And I got so offended on his behalf about this. And this is why I feel so good about going to GRPC. I have a huge problem when I hear about an injustice like that. I get all worked up about that sort of stuff.
Right.
So
it's tough interesting. It's interesting to talk to people that think that by doing not an illegal act, like they're carrying without a permit in your incident that you're talking about, but I don't want to say you don't want to treat them like criminals, but they didn't do anything wrong. But there was no intent in them doing wrong.
And you know what?
They did wrong, but they're not committing. I don't want to say they're not committing a crime, but they're not committing some sort of a violent crime, not threatening anyone.
I've done the same thing. I've left the house. I went to a CVS with my gun on me because before I had a license, I carried in the house. And I went to a CVS on my moped, and as I got off the moped, it poked me, and I was like, "Damn it!"
Whoops.
So I was there. I was in front of the damn store, and I said to myself, "I got to go back home and leave it." I wasn't comfortable going in the store with my gun on me and not having a license.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you this: you're a better man than me.
Well, I got all paranoid,
Yeah, I've got this attitude of let's not be ridiculous, right?
Well, but
like, is it ridiculous? Should you have not had your gun? Yes. Is it ridiculous to drive 15 minutes to the store and then turn around and drive 15 minutes home because you realize before you walk in to the CVS that you have a gun on you, and then turn around and drive 15 minutes back to the
we can
CVS?
stay in the carpool lane here.
Okay, we can scoot over one, right?
Yeah.
Is that ridiculous? It is.
But you and I live in Massachusetts and California.
Right, we live in occupied territory.
So if we get pulled over or found out one way or another,
forget it.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a big deal for sure. But I'm like,
when I lived in Boston, I came home from work one night at midnight, middle of the night, and I turned on this street. It had 2 lanes. I turned on this street, and it felt funny until I realized that the cars on both sides of the street were facing me. And I was like, damn it, I'm on a one-way.
Yikes, honey.
So I pulled off the street, and as soon as I pulled off, there was a cop right there.
Oh, man.
So I got pulled over. And I explained to the cop, hey, I'm new here. I'm sorry, I didn't see the sign. It was 2 lanes. I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And apparently the road network in Boston is so confusing that that's a valid excuse. I was let off with a warning. But that would have not happened if I made a mistake with a firearm.
Exactly. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous. Completely.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 classes a month. I'm trying to wrap it up here. 2 classes a month are usually what you do. Where do you teach the classes? Do you have to rent a space?
I usually go to South Bay Rod and Gun Club, which is my local range where I'm a range safety officer. The clubhouse, unfortunately, right now is under renovation, so for the classroom portion, I always have to rent a room somewhere, and that really depends on the size of the class.
Sure.
I usually go to Peer Space, find something there that's reasonably close, and then we do the classroom first, split for lunch break, and relocate to the range.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, the basic pistol class, 8 hours long, and then you said it's 16 hours to get it?
For the CCW, for the initial course, it's 16. It's 8 hours for the renewal. So you can do 8 hours, 2 days. You can do 10 and 6, however you want to split it up.
Does California accept other classes? Like, I know I've done some Utah classes in Illinois, and Illinois is 16 hours, and they'll take Utah as 4 of the 16 hours.
So we don't currently have a process for out-of-state issuance. So if you're an out-of-stater, you're supposed to be able to get a license in California now.
Right.
That is a very recent change. The sheriff's departments don't have a procedure yet for that. They don't know how to do that clerically, administratively.
Okay.
But that'll be a thing soon. You will probably have to follow the curriculum of the county you're planning to visit. I'm saying, well, the issuing authority is the sheriff's department.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can pick any county, I guess, but the state is probably or the DOJ or whoever gets involved, they're probably going to look at this. Hey, you want to go to San Francisco? What are you doing trying to get a CCW in Riverside?
Right.
You know? Technically, I guess it should be okay, because if I get a CCW here in San Diego, I can carry in the entire state.
Right.
So, but as of right now, there's no process for that.
It's really ridiculous that they don't have a process, or the process is really screwy, or it's inconsistent.
Man, it's even incredibly difficult to become a CCW instructor. The San Diego County, for example, and I don't know what their deal is. I don't want to bash them too bad because our sheriff is actually pretty friendly towards the Second Amendment. But if you want to become a CCW instructor certified by the sheriff's department, you can only apply once every 2 years. And it's a hard deadline, I think on October 24th, so it's coming up.
Wow.
If you miss that deadline, you have to wait 2 years. Whereas in other counties, you just apply whenever and they sign them up on a continuous basis.
That's ridiculous.
So it's not a uniform way of handling it.
Right. Yeah, that's completely ridiculous. I'm gonna be the guy that says it would make sense if the state was the one that was handling all of it.
Right.
Right? Have the state police.
Well, Massachusetts is a lot smaller state.
It is.
But I don't know what the other states do. I mean, other than the 29 that are constitutional.
Right. Carries, yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, we need to wrap things up. How can people find you and the San Diego Firearms School and all of your social medias?
Yeah, you can Google me. That's probably pretty easy. San Diego Firearms School in San Diego, obviously. I suck with the social media. I'm pretty good on Instagram. My Instagram is also San Diego Firearms School. It's all one word, no special characters. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Yep.
The email is sandiego.firearmsschool@gmail.com. Or you can send me a text or call me directly at 619-601-8909. I answer almost 7 days a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. That's the way it ought to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. I know we're still driving here. Thank you very much for being on the show. If you, we're obviously going to have links below. If you are not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, you can join them at saf.org, and there is a link below in the show description for that. If you're watching the show, share it with your friends. If you're listening to the show, share it with your friends. This is how we get the stagecoach across America. We will see you guys next time.